All right, back and rolling right along. Darren Smith with you. This is San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. Spent a large portion of yesterday's program talking about San Diego State, the other night on the road at Wyoming. We also spoke earlier today about Boise State, New Mexico last night. San Diego State up next, 5 o'clock this Saturday. They will host Air Force. It's a game that you can listen to right here on San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. It is always our pleasure to say hello to the head coach of the Aztecs. He is Steve Fisher, good enough to join us for a few minutes on the radio. Coach, good to talk to you. Thank you very much as always.
You too, Darren. I listened to a good portion of your early Aztec talk yesterday. We did not practice, and I was out and about and had a chance to listen to some of your comments. And we didn't play well enough. We didn't play good enough to win. If you want to go backtrack a little bit, the better team won. I would have loved it if we could have made another miracle finish to win, but for that night, the team that played better won. And you said it, and I'm going to co-sign it.
You know, I guess it's a good thing, Coach, you know, that you have to go back till November 15th, and we're talking about a span now of 2 months. That was the last time that you guys felt the way you felt walking off the court at Wyoming. I guess overall, big picture, it's probably a pretty good thing that you're really not used to this because it doesn't happen very often.
I agree with that also. We've not experienced that feeling often. One other time, and none of us like it. If you're Aztec players, coaches, or fans, usually there are reasons why. And so often you want to always say it's you. And it was some, but a great portion of it was Wyoming and how they played. They played extremely well. They're a good team. They're a better team than most people realize. And they're even better than that at home.
Winning on the road in conference play, I mean, it's always a dicey thing. It's not just you guys. It's not just the Mountain West. I mean, you could go through every single conference and pick a team out there that struggled on the road. And a lot of times those teams come up, and they come up on the losing end of it all. What is it about the familiarity of traveling, you know, facing a head coach who knows you guys, who knows you very well, knows the ins and outs of your program, that makes it so difficult and so underappreciated that you have to go on the road and play these games?
Any league you play in, you're going to get scouted very thoroughly. There is a lead scout. There's another sub-scout that knows every play you're going to run, call the first play, and all those kinds of things. So usually you can take people out of what they want to do. I think, Darren, in our Wyoming game, we thought we call it black. The NBA calls it down, those side ball screens, and we couldn't do it. They were too quick the way they ran and curled and did stuff to where we couldn't do it, and that had an impact on what happened. But the number one thing in that game is we did not do a good enough job of guarding them off the bounce, off the dribble. I went back and charted every single possession about how they scored, and they scored 68 points, and 36 or 38 of them were layups, or we fouled them when they were shooting a layup. Layup, dunk, or foul in the act of shooting, and that's a cardinal sin. You can't do that. We haven't done that, and we did it.
How come? What was it about the game? Because, you know, I thought the same thing. You guys gave up a ton of dunks, but even sometimes their guards seemed to roll on in there from the three-point line to be able to get to the rim. Why were they so good at that?
Well, the one thing you have to do on non-ball screens, if it's just me guarding you, we say guard your yard. Keep a guy in front of you. Don't let him beat you off the bounce. Don't let him go straight line to the rim. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but it happened to us way too much. On the screen and rolls, on the side ball screens, then there are decisions that need to be made. How far do you take him over? How do you play it? But I'll be real honest with you. If I would do it all over again, I would have done one thing and one thing only as to how we guarded. I think our players were a little confused when we had 2 or 3 different things we tried to do in the course of the game on how we were going to guard them. And I think sometimes it's paralysis by analysis. You give them 1 or 2 things. This is what you do, and do it well. And that's what we didn't do a good enough job on. And so it's never always you. It's us. And I told them that. I said, I'm in the boat with you. I'm responsible for how we played in a small part also, just like you are in a small part. And all together, it's a big part when you put us all together. So we're gonna show the part of the Wyoming tape after practice today, but we're going to show our first game with the Air Force prior to practice. You hit enough of it, the snippet of it, and then you move on, and that's what we're going to do.
We're talking to Steve Fisher at San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. Last thing on that game itself, just from a specific line of questioning, would be about Xavier Thames, who struggled behind the arc. He was 0 for 8, 3 for 16. I do wonder this. Do you ever worry that inside of your own team structure here, that sometimes you guys are a little too reliant on Xavier Thames?
Well, I don't think so, and yet, if X has a shooting night like he did against Wyoming, we're going to have a hard time. Mm-hmm. He hasn't had many of those. Part of that, I think he got a little frustrated himself, and tried to do maybe a little bit out of character for him. But part of it was he missed some shots that he also has been making during games. But I would also say this: we had 21 offensive rebounds. You get 21 offensive rebounds, and a lot of those were off shots that X missed. You got to put them in the basket. You got to put more of them in the basket. And I'll keep coming back to we didn't guard well enough.
Right.
If that's going to be our signature item, what do you think of San Diego State when you first talk about them? Defense.
Yep.
Rebounding. We were out of character with our defense in that game, and that hurt us more than X's 3 for 16 shooting. You're going to have shooting nights like that. I watched the Wisconsin-Michigan State game on Sunday, and the leading scorer in the Big Ten, Harris from Michigan State, was 2 for 22, I think, from the field, and didn't make a basket till towards the end of the game. You're going to have nights like that, and as long as your go-to guy is taking good shots, you still want him to take it. Xavier got to the free throw line again 8 times and made 7 of them. That's his MO. So hopefully if he shoots 16 tomorrow or Saturday, he'll make 10 of them, and we'll feel better about it too.
Talking to Steve Fisher, San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. Overall, big picture, it's always interesting to me because I know how much you coaches say you hate losing. Sometimes you hate losing more than you enjoy the winning. Yet, when you're a college coach, you use these opportunities to teach, and that really is, in essence, what college coaches are, what you are, Coach. You're a teacher. So how do you balance the hatred of losing with the opportunity that you have now to teach and use this, just like the Arizona game where you lose and you rattle off 20 straight? Now you find yourself in a spot where you could take things out of that game and you could use it and tell the team, however you want to use it, however you want to frame it, so that it helps them somewhere down the road.
I think that's where the psychology in every coach has to come into play. You have to know your team. You have to know the individuals within the team. I much rather learn by winning. And to be honest with you, we're a lot harder on them. We've been really tough on them in the film room after victories. And I think players, just human nature, when you know you've won, you're a little thicker skinned when they start pointing out all the things that you didn't do because you won. We're still going to point them out, but we're going to tell them beforehand, you've got to be receptive. You have to learn. But if you start beating them up too much and put some doubt in their mind, well, am I as good as I think I am? Can I really do that? Then I think you're hurting yourself more than if you don't even show them what they've done. So you have to blend that. I know we've got a staff that is really good at doing that, knowing what button to push when. Every player on our team, Darren, stopped by the office yesterday. Every player on our team stopped by the office when we did not have practice. And that's a bit unusual also. Some of the times, especially after a loss, players don't want to see the coaches. But every player we had poked his head in the office, some for 2 minutes, some for 2 seconds, some for 20 minutes.
So you're not concerned then, it doesn't sound like, with the way your team will respond to the second loss of the season?
No, I'm not. I mean, I hope we play well. Air Force is Air Force. And we had a really good, tough game with them there. They'll minimize possessions, although they are shooting it a little quicker now. And they are shoot threes, shoot layups, nothing in between. They shoot either threes or layups. And we've got to say, okay, what's most important that we say we have to take these away first. You have to try to do both. I thought we had a good game plan against them last time. And Trey Coggins, who's a California kid, he had 27, 29 against us, and he was phenomenal. He was suspended for some reason for 3 games, didn't play, and they struggled in all of those games they didn't play. Came back, didn't start against Colorado State, but he played and played well. I have not watched their game from last night yet, but they're a good basketball team. And they're a team capable of playing with and beating anybody based on how they play.
Coach, you got 2 quickies before we let you get on your way here this afternoon. Number one is, and I've heard this a little bit from some of your fans, and I know I've heard this on the radio station from people in my role, that this year was kind of a rebuilding year for San Diego State. Next year's the year with all the recruits and the big-time recruiting class coming in. And anything that happens this year is just gravy anyway. Where you guys sit, I mean, is that at all the mentality of San Diego State basketball this year, that anything that happens this year is just gravy because nobody expected much from you guys?
No, never was, never has been, never will be. Worry about today. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. They said that 2 years ago or 3 years ago after Kawhi and DJ and that crew left. That, we got Foley coming in, we got these transfers, we got these players, and we won 25 or 26 games. And then that following year, where it was built up to be, which was last year, we won 23 games and people were disappointed. I'm not worried about next year. I'm worried about this year. We have a good team. We have a very good team, and I think people know that. So we're not playing with house money. We're playing to win, and if we keep winning, we'll have a season to be remembered with this year's team. That's our goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard it. It just stands out to me that from time to time that pops up. So I wondered if it had made its way inside the athletic department. And then lastly, is Steve Fisher last night? Are you on the couch watching CBS Sports? Are you sitting there pulling for Boise State and rooting on the Broncos, who you just faced a week ago, hoping that they could take down New Mexico, which they eventually did?
I was watching tape, San Diego, Wyoming, San Diego State, Air Force. I took time off to watch the end of the Syracuse game. I cooked salmon on the grill. I'm getting pretty good on the grill. And Angie and I watched a little bit of New Mexico Boise. I cleaned the dishes up. I thought New Mexico looked so good early that I didn't see much of the middle part, and came back at the end when all of a sudden it's real close again. So I did watch the end of that game though, and obviously it's helpful for us if New Mexico gets a loss, but most importantly we got to take care of ourselves. But yes, we watched it and we were smiling like everybody was when Boise finally won a game like they've been losing games.
No doubt about it. They kept putting that up there, too, with Boise State about all the heartbreaking losses, and you guys were the most recent memory. So everybody was wondering if it would add to it again, and have New Mexico somehow pull the carpet out from under them. So, well, Coach, good luck this weekend against Air Force. We always appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. I appreciate you having me on, and I enjoy very much listening to you.